Hey everybody, this is Jim Grisanzio from the Oracle Groundbreakers team. We are back here in Hyderabad, India for Sangam 19. And I'm here with Sandesh Rao. Sandesh, welcome.
Hey, thank you, Jim, for having me here. This is a super exciting day out here. The weather is great. There's more than 800 plus people. I just finished one of my sessions on AI and machine learning. But this is, it's interesting. One of the most interesting sessions I sat in the keynote was by Jenny Sai Smith. And she presented this.
She had a keynote that went on forever with the huge amount of data in her slide.
It's the 20C database. It's our next next version of the flagship database that's actually coming out in the year 2020. And she was basically giving an update on all the cool stuff that is coming out in 2020. So
give me a little summary.
A little summary is a hard one, but I will actually give this a shot. A couple of things that I thought were my most favorite ones. The first thing is the Oracle OML, or the Oracle Machine Learning package, which is actually part of the Oracle database in the Enterprise Edition, is now free. So if you're a data scientist, if you're a person looking to use algorithms and process stuff, and if you are trying to do graph and spatial analytics, these are the kind of things where all the new citizen data scientists want to actually do on top of the data that they have in their own databases. Earlier, this was a priced option. Now it's free with the Enterprise Edition. So if you have an Oracle database and you have an Oracle database license, this thing is free with the database. Total gravy. This was awesome. It was one of those wonderful Christmas gifts that we've been looking forward to. And that was the number one thing.
So what exchange do you expect to happen as a result of that announcement?
As a result of that, I think a lot more people will realize that there's a whole bunch of algorithms that's already available inside the database. And the goal is to basically take the algorithms to the data and not the data to the algorithms, which is what most people have been traditionally doing, which is an extremely effort-intensive process. And it is the number one reason why most machine learning projects slow down. It's because you got to take the data, you got to process something, and then you got to move it back. And that's not exactly a very conducive process. What this allows us to do is we have enormous amounts of data in the Oracle database, and it takes the algorithms, and you can actually run them on the database and get your results of whatever you want, whatever you're looking for, whether it is anomaly detection, whether you're trying to detect fraud, you're trying to sell insurance to somebody, you're doing something on healthcare. There's a huge gamut of stuff you can do with this. And now it's free with the database. So it will enable a whole bunch of citizen data scientists who didn't even know it was actually there to now directly operate on top of their data. Our goal as a company is to basically allow customers to discover the true value of their data and do cool things with it. And this is the first step in that direction where we've democratized the use of AI and machine learning functions and spatial and graph analytic functions, which is what you need today for performing most of your AI machine learning exercises.
So how does these types of innovations affect the developers and the DBAs in terms of their day-to-day?
It changes the way DBAs and developers do their roles. One thing that's always been the case, Jim, is people are always concerned, what am I going to do next? And people have been doing business intelligence for a very long time. There's always been reporting. There's always been, what happened, how did it happen, and all those kind of questions that people ask. The questions people ask now is, if that's going to happen, when is it going to happen? And if it happens, what's the impact of what's going to happen before it has happened? So there's a lot of predictive functions that are required in the business. So it's like, if this place is going to heat up, can I order more beer? So these are the kind of things that you want to predict before it actually heats up, and then it'll be too late to truck in a whole bunch of beer, which is going to get cold by the time it reaches here. You want to get it here now, and you want to freeze it somewhere, so when it actually gets hot, you can actually drink a lot of beer. So it's predictive functions and analytics. So it changes the way customers have been doing things traditionally, from like something happens and I post-analyze it to now I'm actually going to do this before it has happened. And I'm going to be able to predict this before it actually happens. So this is what decision makers are looking forward to make their decisions. You tell me what I should do so that I don't meet this outcome. So that's why these predictive functions are important. It'll change the way the DBAs and the developers interact with data. And it provides way more value.
And presumably opportunity.
And opportunities. It creates an enormous set of opportunities. I mean, people are always worried what AI is going to do from a job destruction perspective. But this is again the process of creative destruction. There's going to be a whole bunch of boring jobs or jobs that are just repetitive that can be easily done by a machine that's going to go away. But it's going to open up and unlock an entire new set of possibilities that developers and DBAs have not even seen, or they don't even know where this thing can actually take them.
And it actually brings up an interesting point, because the keynote in there earlier was about embracing change and about embracing how you as an individual adapt to this ever-changing world and deal with uncertainty. So it actually plays into that. So, but there were many announcements about the database. Any more?
So, Jenny spoke about a whole bunch of stuff, but one thing that strikes me is what Tirthankar mentioned. Tirthankar basically presented the Converged database. And this is a very interesting story for us, where over the years, customers have fragmented their environments by basically going into siloed infrastructure, where they process each thing in a separate way by using the software that's designed to process it the best. But the biggest part that they miss is the cobbling together of all this infrastructure, which actually makes the maintenance of this whole thing pretty expensive. So how do you do these things without cobbling together all these things and learning 500,000 new things? The Oracle database over the last couple of years is actually ramping up to take on all these specialized functions, whether it is the document store where you can process things using JSON, graph and spatial analytics, what you can do inside the database, machine learning where you can run things inside the database, different kinds of data, textual data, columnar data, data warehouse kind of data, OLTP data. It doesn't matter what it is. The database should be smart enough to deal with these kind of things so that you as a user should not have to do something custom for every different kind of data. So the Converged database message is really good. And it kind of takes things to a completely new level. And I think that's why Tirthankar's session was extremely important, because it drives home the message of why a Converged database, earlier people would have thought, would have had a whole bunch of disadvantages. Now it doesn't, because we've actually implemented everything that we think that people would require a specialized piece of infrastructure for. So that is a very strong message to developers coming on board. Let us do the hard work for you so you can write your code and you can get your stuff done without having to worry about, oh, I have to build all this and I have to connect all of it. When we drive a car, you expect to go and just be handed over the keys. Nobody tells you to go buy tires from somewhere else and go fill this kind of fuel from this other place. You want to go and get a set of keys and sit in the car and it says, "Welcome, Jim. What would you like? I think I know this is the optimal temperature you have. I'll set this in the car, and I even have your perfect fragrance. That's what I would like." And that's the Converged database.
And next obviously is driving, obviously for you.
And that's it. You drive. You focus on driving. You focus on what really matters to you. And that's always been the goal of Oracle systems. Do things, get your stuff done. You go out and have a life, and the system does all the heavy lifting and all the weight for you.
So how many sessions are you doing at this conference?
Geez, it started off with 2. Now it's 3 sessions, 3 fireside chats, and maybe another extra session. I have no ideas, but I just think the energy in this conference is totally infectious. I do what Sai asks me to do, and I do as many sessions as I can because I absolutely love networking in this space. If I can make even the slightest difference to the attendees of this conference, that they could say, hey, I came and wasted 2 days, but I learned something, I consider myself to be successful.
You've been coming to Sangam for how long?
Third Sangam. This is my 3rd Sangam and my 3rd Yatra. So I've been doing this for 3 years.
Any trends about Sangam that you can share in terms of the maybe growth or changes in the community?
There's a lot of people. There's a lot more people now as compared to what I've seen. There's people are shifting their focus on, oh my God, my job's going away, to, oh, you have more cool stuff for me now? Okay, how do I do this? The message of cloud has resonated. Earlier people would say, I don't want to work on the cloud, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. That message is slowly changing because people want to adapt some of this new technology. They want to grow. They want to add more value to environments. AI and machine learning has basically taken center stage as compared to what it used to be before. So the whole focus of the conference has shifted from features in individual products to cloud services, and the focus is on the developer and the DBA of how they can basically get more value out of their data.
And you obviously focus on AI and machine learning.
That's correct.
So any new updates there that you can share?
So the Oracle machine learning stuff which we announced and released, that is in itself going to make things a lot more accessible for a lot of people who basically didn't want to pay for it and wanted to access it and wanted to go ahead and build their own projects. So that's number one. Second thing is in Oracle Machine Learning 19C, they released a whole bunch of new features. It's added support for time series data, as well as you can do all sorts of new stuff like classification, regression. These functions were there, but they're significantly expanded in 19C. So what happens is with every version of the database that comes out, the algorithms get better, the packages get more refined. Earlier, if I had to train a piece of data, I need to go invest time to figuring out what this data set is and whether it's good, it's not good, how do I tune and train this. Now there are auto preparation packages that says, go away, do this stuff for me, and just tell me what is the best combination of data set that's going to give me the results I want. All this is part of Oracle Machine Learning. There's this package called OML for Pi. So while we love SQL and PL SQL and what you can do with machine learning, we don't want to isolate this. So we want to have developers that love Java, that love Python to also come into our ecosystem. And people are like, okay, but I'm an open source guy. I like all the open source stuff. Why should I use your stuff? We're not forcing people to use our stuff. What we're doing is we're enabling people to use their stuff in combination with our stuff. So like if I have an image recognition library, say from ImageNet, that has identified my customers using facial recognition, and I have the customer data with credit scores in my database, and I want to match them up and find out what my customers look like depending on their creditworthiness, I could take the open source components using ImageNet and combine them with OML for Pi, running data on the back end to find which customers are creditworthy, and I can build an entire database to know my customer better, using a combination of open source and data that's actually sitting in the database with algorithms that operate on it. So it's an interesting mix. We're not asking people to forget what they have. We're saying invest in us in places where it makes sense and combine your investments with what we have and what you have without throwing away any code, and depending on whatever programming language you use, whether you use Java, whether you use Python, it doesn't matter. Whether you're a person that uses R for statistics and you're really good with RStudio, you can continue using this without relearning anything.
So I'm interested. It's around it's 1:30 or so now. So so after lunch, I've seen you at the conference mixing with a lot of people, having a lot of conversations, because of course you do this quite naturally. Any observations you can share about what the attendees are saying?
The attendees are excited. They want to know what's coming in the database. They want to know what's in the cloud services. A lot of people were interested in Exadata and in-memory offerings and what were the new features. So Tirthankar's session that happened in room 1, a lot of people wanted to know how that works. Vivek had a session on the optimizer. People want to know how the optimizer works. So there's still a whole bunch of traditional DBAs that want to do performance tuning and a whole bunch of exercises. So Vivek is a popular speaker for that. Simarjeet actually came in and did an awesome motivational session. I think it was pretty cool. I think that was really nice. A lot of people don't see their potential.
It was very unique. It was very different.
Absolutely, it was. They want, people, they don't know their potential until someone actually comes and spells out their potential to them. So I think that session and the placement and the timing of that session was extremely important. Then there was my session, which I did on AI and machine learning, and the goal of that was to basically say that machine learning is not complicated. Come on board. It's just a couple of SQLs that you need to run. And if you have an account with the autonomous database, it takes you 2 minutes to go fire up a notebook and play with it. We also whitelisted the email IDs of everybody that's coming in this conference. So they basically don't have to put a credit card to activate an account on the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, which I think was a pretty cool touch. Oracle Academy is here. So they're trying to participate in trying to get a whole bunch of people to get students access to our cloud and all of the features and all the products within without actually having to pay anything. I mean, they want to play with their stuff. Fine, why not, right? Then there's Oracle certification, where you have to pay an extremely minimal amount of money to basically get your certification done here, which is, I think, a really cool opportunity if you want to build value and demonstrate to your employer that you're upscaling yourself in terms of your technical skills and stuff like that. So
That's a first, actually, for this conference,
yes,
right?
it is. Because earlier, see, normally what ends up happening is the certification, people always charge, it's a discounted amount. This is heavily discounted. So people should just take advantage of the opportunity and try to get themselves schooled out. Because in India, certification holds a lot of value here because people evaluate you based on how many certifications you have. So I think it's very important that people do this. Yeah.
Okay, well, we're halfway through day one. We have all of today to go and tonight and then all day tomorrow as well. Anything interesting that's going to be going on tonight or tomorrow?
There's a whole bunch of fireside chats. There are my buddies doing the fireside chats for RAC. There's Anil Nair, there's Marcus Mikalevitz that are going to do stuff. My buddy Bob Thom is going to talk a little bit about Exadata. There's a bunch of people that have a session on women in AI, which I had attended. Srividya from Doyensis actually talks about it, and that's a pretty serious topic that needs more discussion of how to basically get more women into tech, AI, and all of these spaces. And she basically talks about the obstacles of why women basically can't get into tech and what they should do to fix this. That's, I think, tomorrow as well. There's an expert panel today evening with myself, Jenny, Tirthankar, and a whole bunch of stuff, a whole bunch of people. That's something that you should not miss. There's a bunch of fireside chats on AI machine learning on RAC, which I mentioned earlier, as well as on, I'm doing a session on troubleshooting tips and tricks for DBAs, which is usually very popular because I'm trying to train DBAs on how to do things faster using the tool sets that they have today. So I'm totally stoked. Between that and all the parties in between, I think this is already shaping out to be an excellent conference.
Yeah, you told me about this when I met you last July on the Yatra, and
So Jim, what do you think? Are you going to come back to this thing again?
Yeah, no, this is a great conference. It's really interesting because you can tell that it's run by the community. And I mean, it's got sponsors, it's got corporate sponsors, but it very much is raw in some respects. It's run by the community, and that's very, very obvious.
The quality of the attendees, the quality of the volunteers, the kind of sessions that are there, the way the sessions are organized, and my buddy Sai Panamuru, who basically breaks his back in the process trying to get all this stuff done and bring all this together with all of the volunteers that actually do not get paid a dime to do this. And the scale of this event, it is absolutely incredible what these guys do.
It's just a testament to the power of building communities. When people believe in something, they volunteer, they contribute, and then it's snowballs from there.
Job as people coming from Oracle to support this community. I've been doing this for 3 years, and I have never skipped a beat. When it comes to talking to people out here, the attendees are very fired up. Everybody wants to learn something. So whenever I do my sessions, I try to go into as much depth as I can and try to explain to people in 45 minutes that they would never be able to learn in weeks. So that's the value of coming here to Sangam. So for those people who are thinking twice and saying, hey, I have this production issue and there's a downtime, they're all excuses, guys. You got to upscale yourself. I saw a picture the other day of it was kind of hilarious. It was a picture of a cameraman that was sitting in a helicopter and flying around, and then I see a picture of a drone with a 4K camera flying around. So not only did the person flying the helicopter lose his job, but even the cameraman sitting on the helicopter has lost his job, and now it's replaced by a drone operator that's basically operating this whole thing using some AI in a drone that's flying around and taking the most optimal pictures that it should. Moral of the story, guys. Take time, come here, upscale yourself. This is a really good conference. It's held in alternate cities. This time it's in Hyderabad. Next year it's actually going to be in Bangalore. So Yatra and Sangam are two of these conferences. Sangam is a paid conference, but it's still worth the number of sessions that we have. And Yatra is a free conference that's usually done across 10 cities and 15 days. So if you have excuses of you have production issues and you need to be in your office, think again, invest in yourselves, give yourself some time, upscale, and you will not regret it.
Cool, Sandesh. Thank you very much for your time today. I'll see you. I'll see you obviously today and tomorrow and next July.
Thank you, Jim,
for Yatra.
I think this is great. I would wish you would come here for every one of these conferences, because I think you'll really enjoy the energy out here. Thank you. For
It's
doing
excellent. Thank you.
This. Thank you.
And see you guys later. Thanks a lot. We'll be back here in Hyderabad for more conversations. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.